So proprietary fund financial statements have three financial statements: statement of net position, statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position, and statement of cash flows. These financial statements are more similar to the financial statements you've seen by a private sector. So here is the statement of net position for proprietary funds. Recall we talked about earlier, under proprietary fund category, we have enterprise funds, internal service fund. Although internal service funds account for government activities as they provide services to other internal departments, but they are proprietary funds. And as you can see that this government enterprise funds consist of the water fund and the transit fund, which reported separately in the different columns. And in this statement, we present all the assets, long-term, short-term liabilities, and the net position associated with the enterprise fund and internal service fund. As we had previously seen, the net position has two different categories here. Next is the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position for proprietary funds. As you can see, the presentation format of this statement is the same as the previous one. This statement distinguishes the operating revenues and operating expenses, non-operating revenues and non-operating expenses, and also the capital contribution and transfer between funds. And government can also choose to report any special and extraordinary items, which we don't see here, but the government can choose to do it. So according to GASB 34, to be an extraordinary item, then the event must be unusual and infrequent, such as insurance claims you may get from a major disasters. And to be special, an event must be either unusual or infrequent, but must be within the control of the government. So an example cite from the GASB 34, it says this, proceeds from sales of the capital assets, but this must be under unusual or infrequent events, not your normal routine of sales of capital assets like your furnitures. So next example of the statement of cash flow. And the primary purpose of the statement of cash flow is to provide information about cash receipt and cash payments during a period of time. So using this statement of cash flow together with all other financial statements, it gives us the citizens and users of financial statements to assess government's ability to generate future net cash flows, to see if government's able to meet its obligations as they become due, and if the government needs external financing sources of funding. And GASB number 9 requires that the statement of cash flow classify the cash receipts and payments according to whether they stem from the operating activities or financing activities. But for governmental reporting, financing activities is separated into non-capital and capital-related financing activities, and also from investment activities. And they give us the net increase of cash and cash equivalent. And because governmental enterprises are encouraged to use direct method, so that means we will start from cash received from customer, maybe payment paid to the suppliers and payment paid to the employees, or any interest that's received from the investments. So we would need to reconcile to our net income with our from our operating cash from operating activities. So here, so you can see the reconciliation of operating income to the net cash provided by operating activities, and start with the net income, and with all the adjustments, add back all the depreciation expenses, and add back any reduces in accounts receivables and total adjustment to reconcile to these items. So far we have seen 3 different financial statements used to report proprietary funds. So we have seen the statement of net position for both enterprise and internal service fund, the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position, and statement of cash flow. So next, let's talk about financial statements for fiduciary funds. So fiduciary fund financial statements has 2 financial statements. It has statement of net position and statement of changes in net position. And as we talked about earlier, fiduciary funds are resources held by a government, but really belong to other individuals or entities other than the government. So example of these fiduciary funds are trust funds and agency funds. An example of the trust funds are like your pension trust fund. These accounts for the employee's pension plan, or any private purpose trust funds. These are like your maybe like your prison contribution for accounting trust funds. And the agency funds are accounts for employee payroll tax withholding, or towing and storing charges for impound vehicle collection on behalf of a towing company, etc. So here is the statement of net position for a fiduciary funds. And notice here the statement of net position, we report assets, liabilities, and also the net position here. And however, on the agency fund, you notice that assets must be equal to liability because the asset doesn't belong to the government. So there should be no operating activities, revenues, or expenses on these funds. So agency fund has no net position. And since the agency fund have no net position in the statement for the changes in net position, we should only have trust fund reported here. And you notice here that we have additions and deductions on the left. So Gatsby chooses the term addition because these really are contributions from employers and non-employee contributing entities, plan members. So it's really not revenue. And Gatsby uses deduction because these are benefit payments and administrative costs rather than expenses. So instead of revenue and expenses, we use additions and deductions. So again, at the end of statement, we will see the changes in net position with the beginning balance and ending balance. So now we have seen all financial statements within a CAFR and learned how these financial statements communicate a reporting entity's financial condition at a very high level.
All right, thank you for answering that. And as you can see, we've got some information, ways to get a hold of Carol, reach out and chat with her. Also, our Canopy community and the courses home where you can see the other courses that we have. We do hope that you'll take those. Quick question for you, Carol, before we let you go is, where would folks find out more about this? I guess, where did you learn about this? Did you learn by doing? Or if someone was in, this is a high-level introduction, but if they wanted to get more in-depth, what are some great resources to go find?
Great question. So most of this information is based from the Gatsby website. So it's the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, and also GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association website. So you can learn more about these and from these 2 websites. And again, like I said earlier, these sample of CAFR can be found in any of the states and cities where you live in. You can download it from their website and learn more about your government in your state and your cities.
Yeah, perfect. And these are, like you said, these are you can find it. All governments are going to have these things, so should be easy to go find some for your local states and cities, and you can check out and compare with this. So we appreciate you taking the course today. We hope to see you again on a future course very soon, and we will look forward to seeing you then. Thanks so much, and have a great day.